So it might have been possible for me to do the update yesterday, since one of the packages did get delivered at a time where I don't know when the tracking updated, but I know it was delivered before the QA person went home. But I decided to hold off because a second package shipped and there's not much else. So first of all, non-anime thing to get out of the way, I did get Django Unchained for the Reddit DVD collection subreddit movie party. Watched it, it's actually pretty fun. And now for the anime itself. This package has those. And then this is the package that arrived today. As you can see, just as a brief glance said, since this is a re-release of something that has already been released before, just with a dub now and on Blu-ray, I decided, you know, that was an extra important reason to wait for somewhat more content for the update. And this is a Railgun, a Certain Scientific Railgun S, which is Season 2. So this is Part 2 with the second half of the series. And I have to decide if I'm going to put this on right here, right now, after this recording, or not. Because I did put something else in the DVD player, but I didn't start it because I figured I would keep things simple. So it's just the two discs. I'm in the... It could be reversed, I guess, if you really wanted to. There's not as much information here as there is here if you did invert it. Let's put the cover back on. Now we're going to look at Mayo Chiki, which, yes, is the English dub. So it was released on DVD before, and I repurchased the DVD because now it has a dub, and the Blu-ray version because now it's also been released on Blu-ray. And we'll just take a quick peek at these. Maybe if I was more thorough with these, I could dig up the old release. You know, I don't remember any of those characters. I'm wondering if this is series I would want to rewatch. I don't know. Alright. See, I had forgotten opening the DVD version there, that it's not a bad idea to do a comparison of the Blu-ray and the DVD versions, because sometimes Sentai, well, on rare occasions they don't reuse the same artwork, so this time instead of using disc 1 and 2, they did use discs 1 and 3's artwork. So, yeah, it's a bit of a short update, but that's this week's anime DVD collection update. Let's see. And as for stuff I watched and buying thoughts, because I think I bought a bunch of stuff. Well, okay. Stuff I watched. I finished Cardcaptor Sakura, and I think I had mentioned last time, Season 3 kind of feeling a bit intrusive when it started, maybe. And I think that maybe that's still a valid feeling, but at the same time, it settled pretty well into what it was being. And I couldn't remember the exact nature of everything that happened at the end, and looking up information about cloud cards online kind of made me think, yeah, some really interesting stuff actually was happening there at the ending, and I just didn't remember it at all. So I thought it was worthwhile to rewatch it. The quality seemed pretty good throughout all 70 episodes. I kind of remember the old DVD release maybe not feeling exactly as clean the whole time, but I could be mistaken. Oh well, that's done. That's rewatched, and that was the nice series to revisit. It is a bit lacking in the urgency department, I guess, as in, like, at least with the beginning of Cardcaptor Sakura, you kind of are given this clearly prophetic dream, and you're wondering what it means, and you kind of watch the series kind of wondering what it's going to lead up to, and you actually feel like when you get there that it kind of led up to something fairly notable. You know, once you understand the nature of that dream. Now, granted, there's a lot about it that is just like kind of trying to be not so obvious, but pretty obvious to you watching, but it's tough. But third season starts dealing with stuff not related to the prophetic dream, and you kind of don't, you're not given anything to really latch onto to say, okay, I definitely want to keep watching this now. For me, I could do it because I'd watched it before and I kind of knew, I couldn't remember exactly what it was leading up to, but kind of the why things were happening. And I think it was actually a very neat idea to take the series. But Cardcaptor Sakura, I finished that and I put in a From the New World, also known as Shinsekai Yori. And that was a pretty impacting ending. It was the kind of ending that left me kind of, I don't know. Overall, it was interesting watching the series, especially the character Squealer, because I kind of felt like watching the series, Squealer is kind of similar to Gasai in terms of presence in the series. Now, Gasai is from Future Diary, and Japanese name Mirai Nikki. And if you're not familiar, Future Diary kind of has a premise that is based around the name of the series, but it also has a character in it named Gasai, who is a very, I don't know, secondary writer, support writer, she might get as much screen time as the main character, maybe just a little bit less, but she's an important character, and when you watch that show, there's a couple of things that could hook you. Maybe you find the concepts of the show itself very interesting, and or well executed or whatever. And for me, I thought that the basic idea was really great. I felt like the execution didn't feel completely right, and I don't know if I ever figured out why I thought that. But the truth of the matter is, I didn't really need to, because, like I said when I talked about the review for it, when I watched that show, Gasai was a legitimately frightening character who I've had trouble not looking at, because she lives up to her reputation, basically. And I mentioned that because with Shinsekai Yori, From the New World, the character of Squealer also kind of felt like every time he was on the screen, he was terrifying in a kind of similar way, where I guess in his case, I mean, you see the series through the main characters, and they are told relative things about the monster rats that, they're told things about the monster rats that we, the audience, are told about, and so we kind of see the characters from their perspective, but at the same time, we can't help but constantly keep exactly what the adults said about the monster rats in mind, simply because of Squealer specifically, because despite anything he might say that would make us think differently, you can't help watching him feel like everything you might have heard, you might be suspecting is true. And this is one of those anime where you begin to suspect a lot of things, and even if it gets to the point where it starts throwing you off on a lot of things you suspect, it eventually reveals that it's kind of aware of what you were maybe thinking. And I don't know if I want to say too much more than that, gives explicit details, just because this is the kind of show where you watch it just to learn about it, But I know that when I fired up, I only had enough time the evening I finished Cardcaptor Sakura to watch one episode. But when I saw in the preview that Squealer was in the next episode, I kind of knew that I needed to fire it up again, because I thought he was a pretty incredible character, and I'd go on in more detail in that regard. But this is the sort of anime where you really have to watch it, otherwise everything gets spoiled way too easily. I'm not even quite sure how to describe it, or at least describe the premise of the series. And so after that, I watched Problem Children Are Coming from Another World, Aren't They? And that one actually has a really good start to it. It begins with introducing... Well, okay, I guess every anime begins with introducing a bunch of characters, but this one begins with 3 characters who are kind of the notable characters. They are kids from another world summoned to the place. It's kind of reminiscent of Mar or something shonen along those lines, except you kind of also find out that all 3 of the characters are badasses. It feels kind of reminiscent of the Straw Hat Pirates in One Piece, but despite me thinking that, that's not 100% the case, because one thing that makes watching the Straw Hats really nice is they're not just like super awesome fighters or anything like that. They've got a wide variety of skills, and they are pretty top of the line in most of those areas. So when they go to some place, you know, some people will be learning very valuable things about other parts of life other than just fighting people. Like, the Straw Hats are neat because they go places and they really inspire people just to be their best and do their best. And that's one of the things about the filler of One Piece that kind of makes it tolerable. A lot of anime try to do that, but One Piece feels more genuinely convincing. A lot of that could be that it isn't just the presentation style of the animes make it more possible for One Piece to get away from that, or get away with that. But the truth of the matter, though, is, you know, this anime was just like really awesome to get into. The first 2 episodes hit like a blast, and the reason, if you've not heard of it, or you have heard of it, or seen that it doesn't rate super high, you probably know that it rates pretty well. But the reason it probably doesn't rate into this is awesome territory is probably pretty simply because it waxes and wanes in terms of that awesomeness. There's a bit of a shonen problem here where they introduce the characters and they have to, of course, make them they can't make it where they're the badasses ever. They have to throw wrenches in the plans, I guess, but that kind of interrupts that initial vibe of these characters here. They're being fucking awesome, yeah. So by the end of it, I mean, there's more I could complain about. They'd be spoilerish. I mean, you know, I could focus on some specific ideas, but overall, you know, you kind of feel like, oh, there will be awesome payoff, and there is an awesome payoff in there at one point, and then there's an okay payoff, maybe pretty good. And so it's a bit of a waxing and waning sort of thing. So overall, not a bad anime. I really am glad I watched it. And I guess it's so short because there's probably not motivation to make more, I guess. I don't know. So, I think that's everything. What I'm watching next, I'm not sure. I did put this in. What was it? Senran Kagura, because I figured that one wouldn't require me to think too hard about it. But then I realized it was really late at night. I should probably go to bed, get sleep, and then today I would have a certain Scientific Railgun S Season 2 Part 2. So I'm probably going to watch that instead. And that will probably give me the breather I want, and then I'll probably start rewatching Oremo so I can watch Oremo 2. At least that's the way I kind of want to approach Oremo. Oh well. And then for purchasing of stuff, I know I've been on top of those Adult Source Media compilation DVD, hentai DVDs. A part of me kind of feels like any little breather I can get in terms of anime, because the anime industry seems to be really healthy right now, and unfortunately that means that the bank account is not breathing as easily. It's not a problem. It's sort of issue where, well, I would like to get another hard drive for my private DVD server so that I can take all of these DVDs behind me and finally back them up. But unfortunately, I want to get one of the 6 terabyte ones. Those are like $300, and while I could probably do that, I only want to do that if it feels like there's enough buffer space and lots of anime are coming out. I think they're mostly bunched at the beginning of the end of September, which I think is what was happening this month as well. I don't know. So, along those lines, I asked myself why I even bother buying the compilation. Well, the answer to why I buy them in the first place is I don't watch them. I actually just put them on my non-anime DVD server and forget about them. And eventually in the future, I would think it'd be a nice thing to take those and say, yay, I can make a website and put exactly what's on each DVD, because I kind of had trouble finding that sort of information before, but I'm not sure if that's very useful to do in the first place. So I'm pretty much, I think I'm skipping one that's coming out slightly later this month, because I'm needing to pre-order a lot of things. But other than that, I think I'm trying to remember what all was coming out next month that was highly notable, because I know at least One Piece and Attack on Titan Part 2. Now, I say that, but I think isn't more Attack on Titan already in the works, and I guess there's a 3rd season of Working being worked on, and you never catch up. So, I guess I'm going to end my anime DVD collection up there. Update there. Y'all, have a nice week.